Now it's time for this week's good news, bad news. This week's topic, the EU Commission on Climate Change. The good news, the EU is on track to meet 2020 climate goals. The bad news, the EU is no longer on track to meet its 2050 goals. It's almost as if the previous management did their job, but the new guy has a different agenda. It's almost as if the new commissioner for climate change is from some right-wing big oil family. Yes, say hello to Miguel Arias Cañete. I've been looking for the right image to show of this guy, and I think, can we try that? There it is. Yeah. Now, good news. Since Fukushima, Germany has sworn off nuclear energy in favor of clean energy. Bad news is, with no nuclear energy in the mix, German power plants are now resorting to burning extra coal, sometimes brown coal, to meet the country's energy needs, making Germany the only EU country not to meet its 2020 goals. Question is, how to interpret this bad news? Many headlines say this is proof that Angela Merkel's Energiewende is a failure. But can we trust the headlines? When the good news is Germany has much more ambitious goals for 2050, which they're much closer to reaching. According to the headlines, more bad news. Last week, the problem with wind energy. Wind turbines are overloading the grid by creating too much clean energy. More bad news, the problem with solar energy. This week, it's solar power that's overloading the energy grid by creating too much clean energy. So maybe the problem isn't creating clean energy. The problem is what to do with it, how to report on it. With big oil leaders in the EU, who is going to get the real story out there? And meanwhile, here's what you didn't read in the paper. Australia just introduced the world's first power station based on wave energy, even under the famously climate change denying Tony Abbott. They had to do it really under his nose. Paris, moving away from nuclear to heat itself using geothermal. Salt water into fresh water creates blue energy, which could meet 50% of the world's energy needs. Public garbage is being composted to provide enough methane to power a fleet of garbage trucks. And in 2015, it's 2015, the year that Back to the Future predicted we'd all have flying cars. Well, they didn't get that right, but they might be right about a car that can run on garbage, or at least methane.